Hello, my name is Sydney and welcome back to my Flock and Squawk, and we are making Beirocks, which, if you don't know, are basically like a little dough pocket filled with meat and cabbage and that sort of thing traditionally, but they can be filled with a lot of things, and the reason I am making them is to freeze them and stuff, but I was reminded of their existence because when we went to the Mariners game, not this last video, but the video before, I had Proshki, which is a similar dough with filling. And so yeah, that's what we are doing for this Julymas. I'll give you a quick overview of how I've made the dough to this point, so here's that. I started by scalding my half cup of milk and then adding in my 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of salt. I just whisked that together until it was combined and set aside to let cool. Once that was cooled, I added 110-degree Fahrenheit water to a bowl and my yeast. I used 2.5 tablespoons of yeast. I let it combine, and once the yeast had bloomed, I added in the cooled off milk mixture. Adding in flour a little bit at a time until it was a shaggy dough before turning out onto a board. While it was on the board, I started kneading and just kept adding flour until I got a nice smooth dough. This took about 15-20 minutes of kneading and adding flour to get this consistency. Then I oiled up my container for it to proof in. I like these clear plastic so you can easily see how high it's risen. Rolled the dough in the oil to make sure the top was coated as well and wouldn't dry out, and then set it aside. I might have to move you though if it gets too hot. But we are going to do some ground beef, some garlic, some onion, some cabbage, maybe some like bell pepper and that kind of thing. I'll just look through what I have in my fridge, but we're just gonna get that sauteed and set it to the side for when the dough is actually ready to make those pockets. So let's just speed right through this. I've also decided some cheese would be nice in it, so as that cooks, I'm gonna grate up some cheese. I don't think Mom ever added cheese to our Beirocks, and then my brother and I usually ate them with ketchup, and I don't really ever remember there being like a lot left over, like to freeze or anything. Alright, so it seems like my dough has doubled, so it's time to punch down, and then we can turn out. So, I'm going to see about sectioning this off into 10 pieces and see how that looks. That's 8. Let me just... These seem a little too big. Maybe I'll try 16, because that'll be easy. I'll just make them a little bit smaller. The filling is still in the fridge, so I'm just gonna kind of prep this one, kind of see how it goes. Basically, I'm just stretching it out in a circle like a little tiny pizza. And then I don't want it too thin, just to make sure that I don't poke a hole in it. So it's a little bit bigger than the size of my palm. I'll try and... I'm gonna grab the filling. A little scoop. Okay. A little more. I want them to be fairly well packed. Okay. That should be good. Gonna just gently, basically just want to gently fold it over on itself and kind of just pinch and crimp the bottom. I might have gotten it a little bit thin on top, but that is the main goal for all of these. They don't have to be perfect, they just have to be tasty. And then I'm putting seam side down on the cookie sheet, kind of letting them have space. Here's just a little bit more of a clear view about pulling the dough around the filling. So I stretched out a good amount, but I did a very large scoop of filling in each of these. But I just gently worked and pulled the dough. Like I said, I didn't want to pull it out too thin so there wouldn't be any tears or thin spots on the top. Once it was all pulled around the filling, I just pinched and made sure that the seam wasn't going to burst, hopefully. I am using the last little bit of filling here on the last one, which is only number 8. So I did not do a fantastic job of distributing the filling evenly for all of the dough that I have. So since I have these remaining 8 balls, since I cut the initial batch into 16, I'm kind of thinking that I will split these in half, or split them off into smaller balls and do kind of like a monkey bread, cinnamon bread situation. I'm just gonna split these in half, and then I'll melt some butter and brown sugar, cinnamon kind of together. And then, yeah, I'll just throw these into a loaf pan once I get them, or I guess I could do any sort of baking pan. Just gonna pop these into smaller balls, and yeah. I have my butter, brown sugar, cinnamon, and cardamom mixture here. Ooh, I need to add a little salt because my butter is unsalted. I'll add that quick. The salt from the salt apple, just a couple pinches, and that should be good. And then I've decided I'm going to use this square dish. So, just gonna mix all this up, and then we are going to roll each little dough ball in real quick, just like a little whoop. Then toss that in the pan. I'm a little worried this pan might be too big, but I'm gonna let this kind of hang out again, because the Beirocks will need to go in the oven first. And then I don't know how long this will end up being in the oven for, or like the rise and everything for second hangout, but I'll just play it by ear and see. There is a total possibility that I will need to swap out what pan they go in, because it's looking a little bit empty with my first little guys. But we'll just have to see. And then my plan is all this leftover goo to be poured over the top before it bakes. Here they are, fresh out of the oven. They are looking so good. We got a little bit of splitting around, but they got that nice crust on them. They're looking good. They definitely are large. And I just threw in the cinnamon bread. So I am pretty tempted on trying one, but I want to save them for the freezer for later. It is a gift to my future self after all. So I'm going to let them fully cool, and then I'm going to put them in the freezer individually, and then I'm going to seal and meal them, which is like the plastic shrinking, all of that. But having them frozen first will make sure that they don't just squish and get all gross in the bag. So that's what's going to be left for them, and then I'll check in when the cinnamon raisin why do I want to say cinnamon bread is out of the oven. I just put it in for about 15 minutes. These guys took about 30, but that's a good checking, spinning in the oven point. So I will see you then, and yeah, that'll make today's little Julymas, just little treats. And there it is, fresh out of the oven. It looks fantastic. I'm gonna just let it cool for a while, and then probably have it a little bit later for a sweet treat. But thank you so much for watching this Julymas. I hope you enjoyed meal prepping with me and getting a look at making Beirocks. I've never made them on my own, and then getting to make a cinnamon bread with the leftover little bits. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you flock and squawk again with me sometime. There's a playlist if you want to see all of the Julymas so far, but I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye!